think of two concepts that cannot relate to each other, such as your mother dancing the Gangnam Style, your teacher in the midst of it, or even your grandma watching the trendy comedian right now, such as the one from Dong Nai. It feels weird, right? Learning science and authenticity seems just as mismatched. How could these two concepts possibly connect? Well, what if I tell you authenticity can help you to become a better learner? Curious? Now, to start with, I would like to share with you a story. You may not believe it, but when I was in primary school and secondary school, my learning sucked. I ranked 20 out of 30 students in my class, 10 out of 12 students in the English team, and at that time, my mother was so scared that I could not pass the test into the specialized high school that she insisted me on taking history just to be in another school. And fun fact is, my mother is sitting down there, so. But the point is, my learning sucked. So the main questions of this talk: how am I able to transform from an average student to a potential learner as I am now? We will explore the answer via three concepts: growth mindset, cognitive load theory, and deep processing. Sound confusing? You'll understand in a minute. So get ready. Come to the first concept: growth mindset. Who here has heard of the term growth mindset? Can I see some men? Well, not a lot of you, right? So for those of you who don't know, growth mindset, coined by the psychologist Carol Dweck, is the belief that your intelligence isn't fixed and you can change it through practice. The opposite of growth mindset is fixed mindset, which is the belief that your intelligence is set in stone. So let's look at an example. When encountering a hard math problem, a student with fixed mindset will think that, oh, I can never solve this problem because I'm bad at math by nature. Whereas student with growth mindset will believe that I just cannot solve this problem for now, but if I have enough practice opportunity, I can beat this graph. So study after study have shown that students with growth mindset always outperform those with fixed mindset in the long run. Why is that? The key explanation is the responses to mistakes and failures. Students with growth mindset see failures as a sort of growth. It's okay to fail, so long as they can still learn from their mistakes and grow. Whereas students with fixed mindset see failures as the determination of their self-worth. They fail a test means they fail themselves. Hence, they will avoid failures at all costs and just stick to the practice they're most comfortable with. That's why they will always fall behind students with growth mindset, because they do not have enough practice opportunity. But now, the main question here: how does growth mindset relate to authenticity? Think about it. Well, I believe that to live an authentic life, you must adopt a growth mindset. Why? If you don't dare to share yourself for the fear of failing yourself and others, then you will not have the opportunity to become the version that you like in the first place. Hence, you will always be less happy than the person who chooses to share themselves. Right? Now, can you understand the connection between authenticity and growth mindset? Now, come back to a topic of learning science with unrelated images. That was me. Maybe you know. And the point is, when I was small, I was constantly praised as an intelligent kid. So intelligence gradually became my label, and I would do anything to protect that label. Even if I had to cheat in exam, lie to my parents about my scores. That's why I was a bad student. Things just began to change when I started to shift my attention to authentic learning. Instead of focusing on prizes and scores, I pay attention to how can I learn and how can I grow 1% better than myself yesterday. After I shift that mindset, my grade also just naturally be better. So the point is, it's okay to fail in learning and even in real life, so long as you can still learn from your mistake and grow. And that's how I got here, able to be proud to share my lessons with you guys. Now, come to a second concept, cognitive load theory. Has anyone heard of this term? Can I see some hand? Well, even less than growth mindset, right? But actually, it's quite easy to understand. Cognitive load is our brain's capacity to process information. And cognitive load theory, coined by John Wilder, basically implies that student mind has limited processing capacity, and educators should design the learning material so as to avoid overloading the students. Well, remember the time that your head felt like exploding and you cannot absorb any new information no matter how hard you try? That's when your cognitive load is off the limit. So it's obvious that we have to optimize our cognitive load for a better learning experience, right? But unfortunately, we students tend to add unwanted cognitive load to our own learning, myself included. In the past, my learning strategies were extremely ineffective. I could turn on a whole episode of anime and watch it while I was learning. That's why I forgot almost anything I learned. Mind you, it's the distraction that detrimental, not the anime though. And I also think that I was a smart kid, which turned out not to be true. And so I would choose a material that are too hard for me to learn, just to see myself giving up after 30 minutes of trying. My strategy wasn't optimized for cognitive load. Now again, come to the important questions. How does cognitive load theory relate to authenticity? Well, I also think that we tend to add unwanted cognitive load to our own life. Specifically, we carry unnecessary mental burdens by pursuing many ideal versions that are not us. We try to be the best students that we think teachers and parents may be proud of. We try to be the alpha male that we think girls may like. But the point is, you can still do it for a while, but you cannot live the versions that are not you for your whole life without damaging your mental health, right? Your cognitive load will be off the limit. Can you see the connection between cognitive load theory and authenticity? Now, come back to our topic of learning science. How can we optimize cognitive load for a better learning experience? Well, I have 3 tips for you. The first tip is using multimedia presentation. Instead of focusing on one medium, you can combine different media when learning, such as text, audio, and visual. This combination is proven to reduce actual cognitive load, and that's why YouTube video is often more comprehensible than class lecture. And the second tip is avoiding distraction. Though it seems quite intuitive, I think it still needs to be repeated. Just put away your dumb phone while you are learning, seriously. And if you have to learn on an electronic device, just install a social media blocking app. That will be a game changer, I promise. Come to the last tip, choosing suitable material to learn. Sometimes, out of pride and confidence, we choose a material that is too hard for us to learn, like myself before. But the thing is, you cannot wholly understand a scientific paper if you are a novice, right? The opposite is also true. If you move beyond the beginning level, then all the material from that level will become boring and redundant to you. Hence, being authentic in your learning and accepting your current level seems to be a good strategy here. Oh, that's a lot of concept to cover, right? Luckily, we moved to the last concept, deep processing. Again, a seemingly complicated term, but easy to understand. So, deep processing, basically it's just absorbing a piece of information based on its meaning rather than its form, which means that you have to understand the concept behind it. The opposite of deep processing, can you guess? Is shallow processing. So, shallow processing is to process an information based on its form rather than its meaning. And a typical example of shallow processing is students trying to remember an information by repeating it 1,000 times and hope it magically put into the head, which doesn't happen. But unfortunately, it's also a common learning strategy of Vietnamese students. Compare that to a time that you're learning your favorite subject. Do you have to memorize intensively when you're learning your favorite subject? And why do you like your favorite subject in the first place? That has a lot to do with deep processing. And remember this. We feel connected to our favorite subject because it feels relevant to our lives and interests. Remember the keyword, relevant. Now, who here loves learning history? Can I see some hand? Well, I'm glad that it's more than I expected. But the thing is, I love learning history. But initially, I hated it. Why? Because I thought it was boring and dry. It was not until I started to prepare for the Olympia contest that I realized history is quite relevant to my life. History is not just facts and figures, but it also provides us with insights into the successes and mistakes of people from the past. Hence, we can draw lessons for ourselves. After discovering the relevance between history and my life, I became much more motivated to learn the subject. And it also felt easier to learn, because now I can connect the lessons from history with that of my life. And I can also compare the patterns between past events and modern day events, which encourages deep processing. And you see the importance of the keyword relevant. Now, come to the important questions. How does deep processing relate to authenticity? Well, to learn an information deeper, it has to be aligned with your values and interests, right? The same with your life. To live a deep life, the kind of life that you won't regret living, you have to follow the paths that are most meaningful to you, not to your parents, not to your teachers, not to your significant others, to you. All in all, it's your life, right? And it has to be relevant with you. Now, can you understand the connection between deep processing and authenticity? Come back to our topic of learning science. To engage in deep processing, I have 3 questions for you to ask when encountering a new information. Remember the acronym RAC. R, relevant. Why is that information relevant to you? A, apply. How can I apply the concept that I learned in real life? C, connect. How can I connect this concept with previous concept that I know? All of these 3 questions require us to process information in a way that are personally relevant to us. Again, the keyword, relevant. So, coming to the end of my talk, how does authenticity help me to become a better learner and a good human being? Well, as I mentioned before, I was a student with fixed mindset for the first 16 years of my life. I lied to my parents about my scores, and I cheated in exams. Not just in learning, I also tried to show off to others and to girls about how perfect, handsome, rich, animal-loving I am. None of that works. Things just began in a better direction when I started to accept that, holy crap, I'm not a perfect person, but that's okay, so long as I accept my failure and focus on growth mindset. Ignore the things that are not relevant to me to optimize my cognitive load theory, and focus on the past, the subjects that are most meaningful to me. Deep processing. That's how I change. Best of luck on your authentic learning journey. Thank you.